Hey everybody, thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's video. If you guys haven't seen the thumbnail or the title, today we are covering the Telltale Walking Dead series. First of all, being the story of Lee Everett. He is the main protagonist, the main playable character throughout the first season of the video game. This is something I've been wanting to do for a little while now. I feel like I say that for a lot of my videos, but I've been wanting to figure out a way to get back into the Walking Dead content that you guys loved so much when I was doing it. If you look at all of my most popular videos on the channel, recently I've had more success recently with MLB The Show, but for a while, especially in 2021, 2022, a lot of my more popular videos were Walking Dead related. I did the playthroughs, I did all that shit, I did a few what if videos, some little Easter eggs ones that you guys really seem to like. So this is another way I thought to get back into the groove of Walking Dead, maybe make some more content that you guys like to see, and then this helps grow the channel even more. So I figured it would be a win-win. Obviously, I have myself at a new angle here. I have my camera on top of my TV rather than my monitor. So this is usually a bit more like a straight-on shot, but this allows, I'm not gonna lie, for something like this, I did have to make a script because I'm not gonna say all this shit off the dome and be able to make it appealing even with editing. So I do have a script ready for this. I do have some keynotes, but before we get into that, first thing I need to say is if you guys want to see more videos like this or just like the Walking Dead content in general, make sure to like this video to let me know how much you want to see more content like this, and also subscribe so that you get notified when the next video of this nature gets uploaded. Now, another formality I need to address before continuing with this video, there are 3 specific channels I need to give credit to as inspiration for me making this video, because you'll probably see elements of either videos they've done themselves or the way they do story videos or the way they just do videos in general. First one being Dom the Bomb. Also, I'm going to put links to all these channels in the description when I make the video, just so then they have proper credits and sources and everything like that. So I'll do that. But yes, first one being Dom the Bomb. He is probably the most prolific, consistent Walking Dead content creator I have seen on YouTube. He's also done very top 10 Telltale Walking Dead videos, things of that nature. So he was one inspiration for me doing this video. Another inspiration is a channel called Gaming Sins. In particular, the Everything Wrong With series that they did with all of the Walking Dead video games. I did notice when I was making the script that a couple of the comments I make are kind of ones that either were formulated around those videos or were just straight up said in those videos. So again, that's me giving credit to where I kind of got that from, so then people don't think I'm trying to be a copy and paste person. And the third one, and this is actually the only Walking Dead third and final one here, and this is the only channel that isn't Walking Dead related, but this channel is Ink Slasher. Now, if you guys know Ink Slasher, he's a very popular YouTuber. He covers a lot of the Call of Duty series and games that come out, but the main thing that I have been watching of him for the last year and a half are his story videos, and that is kind of the main inspiration behind this. I'm taking a series I've seen him do and trying to give it a Walking Dead spin-off, if that makes sense. Again, all 3 links to those channels will be in the description. You guys can feel free to go check them out if you want to see just how much inspiration I got from them for this video. But without further ado, let's get into today's video. Lee Everett was born in 1966 in Macon, Georgia. He was the older of 2 brothers to an unnamed mother and father. Lee's parents actually owned the Everett Pharmacy drugstore that was an essential location throughout episodes 1 through 3 of season 1. Fun fact, the drugstore actually makes an additional appearance in the 400 Days DLC when you play Vince's story after he shoots the man who was harassing his brother. We see Vince run past it before getting caught by the cops. Anyways, many years go by and Lee Everett grows up as all human beings do, eventually becoming a history professor at the University of Georgia. He would work there for 6 years before ending his tenure due to committing a crime. What is that, you might ask? Well, one day after returning home early from the university, Lee found his wife in bed with another man who happened to be a senator. In fact, according to Telltale Walking Dead Wiki, all we know about the senator's information is that his first name is Sam. We don't have the last name or any information on his backstory. He is simply referred to as Senator Sam. Getting back to the main story, after discovering the affair, Lee gets into a fight with Senator Sam and ends up accidentally killing him. Lee is arrested and convicted of murder, being sentenced to life in prison. This sentence is said to have caused his mother, father, and brother to become distant prior to the events of Walking Dead. This is where The Walking Dead Season 1 begins. Lee is in the back of a cop car on his way to prison when the car that he's being transported in crashes into a walker in the middle of the road. The car crashes into the woods off of the road, and Lee is incapacitated for a bit. When he wakes up, the front driver's side window of the cop car is broken into, and the police officer is seen dragged bloodily out of the car, leaving the player to assume he is dead. Lee breaks out of the back of the car and manages to injure his leg during the crash. He stumbles over to the officer's body to grab the handcuff keys, where the officer's body reanimates, giving us a closer first look at the quote-unquote living walker.
Officer? Holy shit! What in the hell? Get away from me!
Lee is forced to use the officer's shotgun in order to put him down before Lee spots a little girl in the distance. He chases after her and finds himself in the yard of a random house. Lee makes his way inside and doesn't really find anybody. Well, that is until he hears a walkie-talkie and the voice of that little girl, whose name we come to find out is Clementine. Now, this is the biggest character reveal for the longevity of the series, because for those of you who don't know, Clementine is the most important character of the whole series. Without her, we have no Telltale Walking Dead game series. I contemplated whether or not to start with Lee or Clementine for a story video, but I felt like in order to tell Clementine's story, we needed to cover who Lee was first in order to tell Clementine's story. After talking to Clementine, who is hiding in her treehouse, Lee is jumped by the walkerized version of Clementine's babysitter, Sandra. Lee is eventually able to subdue and kill Sandra thanks to Clementine giving him a hammer. After they discuss things, the player is given the choice to have Lee and Clementine escape during the day, or wait until nighttime to make a run for it. With either decision you make, you'll meet a man named Sean Green. It is simply a matter of who is with him that is based on your choice. If you go during the day, he is trying to move a car with his buddy Chet, and you make your escape from a swarming herd. If you wait until nighttime to flee, Sean is with a state patrol officer named Andre. With both options, you end up going to Sean's father's farm, where you hope to gain shelter. And this is the first official crossover between the TV show and the game, as Sean's dad is Herschel Green, a beloved character from the early seasons of the show with an infamous shotgun. He works on Lee's leg and allows Lee and Clem to stay overnight in the barn. And the next day, we are introduced to a few new characters, the first of which being Kenny, who will also become an important character as the series progresses. We also meet his wife Katja and his shitbag of a son, Kenny Jr., or as the whole Walking Dead universe knows him as, Duck. Lee talks with Herschel, and the player gets some advice on how to play the game going forward. But that gets interrupted when Sean Green screams out after dumbass Duck pins his leg under a tractor, and both are under attack by walkers. This presents another choice to the player to have Lee save Duck or try and save Sean. But no matter what you do, Sean dies, and everyone is forced to leave the farm. The crew drives until they run out of gas, leaving them in downtown Macon. After being surrounded yet again by a swarm of walkers, they are saved by a woman named Carly and another character from the TV show, Glenn. They herd into the drugstore, yes, the same drugstore that Lee's parents owned before the apocalypse took place. He keeps this to himself, however, as there is a heated debate between the rest of the characters inside the drugstore. Larry and his daughter Lily, who want to toss Duck outside because they think he is bitten, but Kenny and Katja are firm in saying he isn't bitten until they can clean him up. There is also Doug, who hasn't really done much up until this point. Lee, or rather the player, is given the option to pick a side or stay neutral, but you will most likely find people who have played the game to say that they picked Kenny's side, especially after finding out just how much of a dick Larry is from here on out. Earlier in the episode, Glenn went to a nearby motel to look for supplies but got trapped, causing him to radio Clem and send Lee and Carly to his rescue. After killing some walkers, they think the coast is clear but discover a woman who is barricading herself in a room. They bust it open because they think she's defending herself from walkers, but in reality she got bitten by a walker and was protecting everyone else. The player has the option to willingly help ease her pain and commit suicide, but even if you don't want to help her, she finds a way to anyway. After saving Glenn from the events of the motor inn, the three of them head back to the drugstore where Lee is faced with a difficult decision. He sees his brother pinned under a light post out on the street, and he knows the keys to the pharmacy are with him. And because Larry is going to croak if they don't get him nitroglycerin pills, there really isn't any other option. So in order to get the key safely, Lee must kill his brother. It's a very drawn out process and it hurts to watch, but this won't be the worst we are forced to sit through during this whole season. But anyways, Lee gets the key and it's great. Lily and Lee open the door to the pharmacy to get the pills they need, but trip an alarm.
Oh no. Shit. We gotta hurry.
This brings all of the walkers that are in the nearby area to the store, meaning the group must flee quickly. While the group is defending the store from walkers, another choice is presented to Lee. He must save either Doug or Carly, who both need his help. It's a simple yet fatal choice. Whichever person he doesn't save, the other one will die. After saving one of the two, everyone heads for the back to hop in Kenny's vehicle that now has gas and leave. But Larry does this when Lee makes a run for it.
You're not coming with this, you son of a bitch!
No!
I'm not letting somebody else get eaten today. Especially a good friend.
We fast forward 3 months to the start of episode 2 and we see Lee and group at the motor inn. They brought in a new member named Mark and they are out hunting for food when this happens.
Behind you! Travis! Come on, we gotta move!
If you are able to free the teacher, you bring him back to the inn and leave Ben's friend to die. But if you can't save the teacher, you bring back the friend to try and save him. And in good old Telltale fashion, regardless of which one you choose, they will die, despite Katja's best efforts. And Lee needs to save Katja after the corpse reanimates and becomes a walker, which tries to kill her. But Lee saves the day and they can move on with the rest of their day. That is before they are approached by Andy and Danny St. John, two brothers who run a dairy farm with their mom not too far from the inn. They invite the group to come explore the farm and see if they'd want to live there or not. So Lee, Mark, Ben, and whichever person you saved at the drugstore go to the farm to scout it. Things go well, Lee receives a warm welcome from their mom, and everything seems to be in place to help out the group long term, until bandits attack the farm, leading to Mark getting an arrow in the shoulder. Miss St. John takes care of him while the rest of the group comes to the dairy to see it for themselves. When dinner is ready, they all go to sit down, but when Lee goes to wash up, he finds this.
Lee. Mark. What the hell happened?
Brothers,
What the hell happened to your legs, man?
don't eat dinner.
Clementine.
With the knowledge of the St. John's secret, Lee rushes down to try and prevent everyone from eating Mark meat. Now, you technically do have an option to let everyone eat the meat, but this isn't canon. With their secret out in the open, the group gets thrown in a cooler in the barn and locked in there. The group is in shambles and yelling at each other when Larry's heart gives out again. This time, much worse. It's up to Lee and the player whether or not to take action and ensure he won't come back as a walker, or to leave that option up to Kenny, who let's just say will happily oblige. Either way, Larry is dead and Lily is pissed off at Lee and Kenny for letting her dad die. And although this is still a pressing issue, they put a plan together to escape and have Clementine sneak through the air duct. Once she gets out, she's able to free the rest and they make their way towards the rest of the house. You sneak up on Danny and are given the option to kill him, and you move past and make your way to the house and trick Brenda, who is holding Katja at gunpoint, into being grabbed by a now dead Mark, and she is taken care of. The last order of business Lee needs to take care of is Andy, and they get into a fist fight on the front lawn after he shoots Kenny in the stomach. But it literally never gets mentioned again, even without receiving medical care. It's fucking crazy. He literally never mentions it again, except for after the fight scene with Andy where Katja checks up on him. It's fucking ridiculous. Getting the upper hand, you can also choose to kill Andy or let the walkers get him, and the rest of the group retreats from the dairy. One of the more underratedly important decisions comes right before the end of episode 2 as the group stumbles upon an abandoned car with loads of food that they can use. and it is up to Lee to decide whether or not they take the supplies from the vehicle. Some of the group does regardless of what Lee says, but Clementine will only participate if Lee does. Back at the motor inn, tensions are high as the supplies have by now run low yet again, and there is suspicion that someone is stealing their supplies. This turns out to be true after a group of bandits breaks into the motor inn and holds them at gunpoint, demanding their supplies. Shots are fired, bandits are killed, and walkers make their way into the camp. The group is able to flee in an RV that Kenny has been fixing throughout the last episode, but it's revealed that Duck is bitten. After driving for a while, Kenny is forced to pull over after hitting a walker and getting it stuck underneath the RV. With everyone outside, Lily is determined to figure out who is stealing supplies, which causes her to accuse Ben. Now here's where Telltale famously goes back on making your choices matter, as whoever you saved at the drugstore in episode 1 is now shot by Lily in a fit of rage. Lee is then left to make a decision on whether or not to abandon Lily on the side of the road. This decision does carry more weight if you decide not to tell the group about Lee's past, but either way, the group moves on until they are stopped by an abandoned train that is blocking the road. Now, if you let Lily stay, this is where she decides to take the van for herself, leaving everybody else stranded. Lee inspects the train before finding a hobo named Chuck, who has made himself acquainted with everyone else in the group. And before long, Kenny is able to get the train going, but Duck is getting much worse each minute. And after convincing Kenny, he stops the train and puts an end to it once and for all. It's a very heart-wrenching scene, even with how annoying of a character Duck is throughout the first season. Watching this kid slowly get sicker and watching him be killed is a hard thing to do, especially after Katja kills herself unexpectedly due to the grief of being on the verge of losing her son. This leaves Kenny spiraling downward double time, and this is where Kenny enters the dark stage of the game. We get back on the train and find out who exactly was behind the bandits' attack.
It was me.
Huh?
I was the one giving the bandits supplies.
What?
It's all my fault.
Finding out Ben did it is one of the least surprising things this game gives us throughout the season, especially after how he reacted when Lily questioned him earlier.
Shit, oh shit, oh shit. I'm sorry. Like, look, maybe we should vote or something like that.
The train makes some distance but has to stop because of a hanging tanker truck that will explode if the train rides through it. This is where we are introduced to Krista and Omid, a couple who wanders by and sees the group in distress. After dangerously cutting at it, Lee and Omid are able to get the tanker out of the train's way, just as a huge swarm of walkers is nearing. After escaping the swarm, the train stops in Savannah, but encounters this scary interaction.
What kind of church bell goes off at 20 past the hour? Someone's up there!
Are you sure? I don't see anything.
If I were you, I'd get out of the street now.
With the tower bringing more walkers near them, the group is forced to fight them off, with Ben running away like a little bitch, and Chuck having to fend for himself after saving Clementine. Also, shameless plug here, a whole compilation video on ways you could be an absolute dick to Ben that's on my channel. I'll leave a card in the top of the video that you guys can click on if you want to see more of that, because if you're here for the Ben hate, I can help you out. The group is able to break into a nearby house where Kenny is brought even deeper into his despair after Lee finds him in the attic with this heartbreaking scene.
What the hell is that? Oh my God.
Kinda looks like Duck, don't he?
Lee heads back downstairs with Kenny and decides to embark on a journey deeper into Savannah with Clementine. But while Lee and crew are exploring the waters of Georgia, they get sneak attacked by the first badass woman we have seen since Carly died, Molly. After nearly avoiding death by hatchet, Molly informs the group on what happened to the surrounding area.
When everything started going to shit, some people got together and sealed off that whole neighborhood. Folks willing to do anything to stay alive, stop the dead getting in. I try to avoid them.
Why?
Let's just say they have a zero-tolerance policy for anyone who won't or can't live by their rules.
So how'd you know we weren't them?
Because there are no children in Crawford. Not anymore.
Lee is then forced underground after once again narrowly escaping a walker attack, It is underground where he finds Chuck's disemboweled body and a group of survivors who are holed up behind the wall of the tunnels. We convince their leader Vernon to come back and take a look at Omid, who messed up his leg after jumping onto the train from the bridge in episode 3. So Lee and Vernon make their way back to the house where Vernon can inspect Omid's leg, and after further discussion with the group, everybody hatches a plan to invade Crawford and see if there are any supplies they can steal. Going into it, the group is preparing for a living squad of protection to prevent their invasion. But when they climb over the walls, it's pretty quiet in Crawford. In fact, no one in Crawford's even alive. The whole town project was an absolute failure. Lee and the group formulate a plan in one of the classrooms, and Lee is left to investigate outside near a chop shop as well as a nurse's station. But after there is yet another swarm of walkers about to topple them, they are forced to evacuate Crawford. However, not before we get this heated scene between Ben and Kenny.
Wait a minute. What are you saying?
It was me who made the deal with the bandits at the motor inn, slipping them supplies. I thought maybe I could keep them off our backs. When it got discovered, that's when they attacked. And that's when Duck...
Kenny, enough! Calm down, man!
You little pissant! You're fucking dead! You hear me? Dead! My wife and child, you gotta both fucking kill!
Kenny, I said calm the fuck down!
Despite Kenny wanting to kill Ben, Lee and company work their way up the bell tower, fighting off walkers along the way, and it is as the group is climbing out, they make yet another significant choice. Whether to save Ben or let him drop from the bell. If you save Ben, he lives on and sees episode 5. However, if you choose not to, this is what happens.
Lee, we both know. Let me go.
Once you escape the bell tower, you make it back to Savannah and discover the house you were staying in has more to it than originally thought.
Lee!
Hey, girl.
Come look! Look what I found!
Lee is later approached by Vernon, who offers to take Clem off of his hands since the group he's in has all had kids of their own and are well hidden underground. Even if you consider it, Clementine actually goes missing, leaving Lee in a panic. When he goes to check outside, he finds the walkie-talkie on the ground, but that isn't all he finds.
No. Fuck.
Lee? Lee? You out here? Lee!
With Lee bitten, you are given the option to disclose your bite to the group or to conceal it until absolutely necessary. Regardless of the choice, you try to assemble the team based off of your interactions throughout the game. There is the possibility that if Lee was a dick to everyone, he ventures off on his own and has to do everything by himself. But I feel like that is a very unlikely result that you may get. If you get everybody and Ben is saved in the bell tower, you have Krista, Omid, Kenny, and Ben all come with you. However, along the way, regardless of whether or not you saved Ben, you lose Ben and Kenny along the way, leaving just Krista and Omid to accompany Lee the rest of the way. Lee is later separated from the couple and ventures towards the Marsh house alone, where we get possibly the most badass cutscene of this season. Once we are inside, we finally meet the stranger from the walkie-talkie, and we find out why he took Clementine and has a vendetta against Lee. Because back in episode 2, he was the owner of the car that the group took supplies from. This led his wife to take his daughter and leave, and this took place after his son already went missing during a hunting trip. Driving him mad, he managed to stumble upon Clem on the radio and hatch up the plan to execute his revenge. After Clementine escapes from the room that she is locked in, she distracts the stranger and gives Lee a chance to overpower him, leading to either Lee finishing him off or Clem killing him herself. After leaving the marsh house, Lee and Clem cover themselves in walker guts to avoid detection from the herd and go outside. Once outside, Clem sees her mom and dad who have turned to walkers, leaving her stunned. When Lee goes to console her, he passes out, leaving Clementine to drag his unconscious body to a nearby building. Once Lee regains consciousness, they try to open the door, but Clem closed it tight, and Lee's waning strength prevents him from being any help. Knowing the end is near, Lee makes Clem handcuff him to the radiator and presents her with possibly the most heart-wrenching choice in video game history.
I'll miss you.
Me too.
And thus ends the story of Lee Everett. He technically makes 2 more appearances though throughout the game's franchise, once in a dream sequence in Season 2, and another in a dream sequence in Season 4.
Clementine. Hey, Sweet Pea.
Lee?
Why the train? You always pick the train.
If you guys want to see more content like this, let me know by leaving a thumbs up on the video and subscribing so you can know when more videos like this go live. It's been a minute since I've done Walking Dead content like this, but if you guys want to see it, I am very, very happy to bring more to you. Thank you guys so much for spending your time watching this video, and I hope you all have a good day. Bye.